evening, friends. I am Maheshwaran, Chartered Accountant, calling from. Joining from Coimbatore. I am a nominated member of the Ethical Standards Board of SARC of ICAI. I am glad to invite you for this wonderful session and more relevant. It's not our regular taxation or company law matter, but the subject is very, interesting and very apt for, I think, every one of your client or their successors. Something will be keen to know about startup. So it's very important that we also should know about this. So the branch, the SARC has chosen a very right topic of various incentives for startup practical aspects. As you know, we are concerned more with practical aspects than mere theory. For this, we have an appropriate and well-educated young speaker, Ms. Kritika Narula, a company secretary and a Bachelor of Commerce. And she is the lead assistant manager of Startup India, a government of India undertaking. She has over 3 years experience of corporate advisory, merger and acquisition, and public advocacy. Kritika works towards enhancing the ease of doing business, ease of raising capital, and reducing compliance burden for startup ecosystem in the country. She works closely with the central and state government ministries, advising them on how to improve the existing regulatory landscape for the startup in the country. Prior to this, she was worked with Nitish Desai Associates, a Tier 2 law firm, and Bharti Airtel Limited in M&A secretarial and legal department. With these few words, I have great pleasure in introducing the speaker of this day, Ms. Kritika Narula. Over to you, madam, please.
Ma'am, you can unmute yourself. Sorry, ma'am, you're muted.
Thank you for the introduction, sir. A very good evening to all of you. My name is Kritika Narula. I lead the regulatory vertical at Startup India. So before I move on to the agenda for the presentation, a lot of you must be wondering what Startup India is, how we are associated to Government of India, or what maybe Invest India is. So just to give you a little brief, Startup India is a flagship initiative of the Government of India, as most of us know that our Honorable Prime Minister launched this initiative in the year 2016 with an intent to catalyze the startup culture and build a strong and inclusive ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship in India. So Startup India is an initiative which is housed under a Section 8 company called Invest India. Invest India is a national investment promotion and facilitation agency of India, which acts as a first point of reference for investors in India. It is a non-profit venture under DPIIT, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. We are housed at Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. So this is a brief introduction about my organization. I lead the regulatory vertical at Startup India. I have a team of 4 people who assist me in identifying the roadblocks for the startup ecosystem, and we constantly work towards improving the startup landscape of the country. Going back to the main agenda, that is what is Startup India initiative, for which we all are gathered here to understand the practical benefits that the Startup India initiative provides to the startups in the country. I quickly share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, visible, ma'am.
So a lot of you must be wondering what Startup India initiative is. Some of you may know about Startup India initiative. Some of you may not even know about Startup India initiative. So Startup India is a flagship initiative of the Government of India launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in the year 2016 with an intent to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. The government, through this initiative, aimed to power startups to grow through innovation and design. In order to meet the objective of this initiative, Government of India announced a 19-pillar action point which would help to accelerate in spreading the startup movement in the country. It's a 3-pillar action plan. The 3 main pillars of our action plan are simplification and handholding, funding support and incentives, industry, academia partnership, and incubation. So the action plan revolves around these 3 pillars, which is in the form of 19 action points. Giving you all an overview of the startup ecosystem in the country, happy to inform you all that we are the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. 45% of startups come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. An interesting fact about the age of founders of these startups is that average age of a founder in India of a startup is 31 years old. This shows how much the youth is moving towards entrepreneurial spirit. These startups are creating 12 jobs per startup on an average. As on date, we are over 55,000 plus startups in the country. We are a big family of over 55,000 startups in the country. Out of 36 states and UTs, 30 states have launched their own startup policies. In addition to the Startup India initiative, which was launched by the central government. Just to give you a glance on how the sector is spread in the startup ecosystem, what is the sector focus of startups? Diversity in industry sector and use cases is reflective of an ecosystem strength. We continue to witness an expansion in industries targeted by Indian startups. Sunrise sectors are the sectors with a large unfunded and funded startup base with high adoption of deep tech and investor activity. There is a growing adoption of deep tech in various sectors. With increasing global competition, adoption of deep tech is essential in many industries. The increasing adoption is essential in the increasing adoption is also reflective of improving technology skills in the startup ecosystem. Some of the prominent sectors in which the startups operate are fintech, healthcare, retail tech, fintech, etc. Now the question arises, what a startup is. A lot of us use startup in day-to-day layman terminology, something, and we try to relate it with something which has just started up or something with something related to innovation is what we coin as startup. However, I would like to apprise all of you that we have a legal definition for startup. We being professionals, we understand the importance of law and how a definition is defined under a law and how we should stick to that definition. So as per DPIIT, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, a startup could be a private limited company, an LLP or a registered partnership firm, an entity which is not older than 10 years from the date of incorporation, an entity whose turnover has not exceeded 100 crore in the previous fiscal year, and an entity which is working towards innovation, scalability, job creation, and wealth creation. So this is the legal definition of startup. You can find the legal definition of startup in the notification issued by DPIIT, notification dated February 19th, 2019. So what does it mean? All startups falling within the ambit of definition of DPIIT, are they all startups? Are they all eligible for the benefits provided under the Startup India initiative? No. For that, you need to be a DPIIT recognized startup. What I mean by that is you have to apply an entity which falls within the definition of startup needs to apply on our portal, that is startupindia.gov.in, answer some basic questions, and after answering or filling up the application form, that application is scrutinized at the back end. Once the application is successfully scrutinized, a certificate is granted to the entity and hence becomes a DPIIT recognized startup. Happy to inform you all that our government department now issues these certificates on blockchain verification. It is one of the government department out of the many government departments which is moving towards technology and utilizing the right technology for issuing its certificates. So the recognition process is fairly simple. It only takes around 15 to 20 minutes of your time to fill up the application process, answer basic questions, and in normally 48 hours of working hours time, this application is processed. So along with this, approximately 650 regulatory reforms have been simplified, 49 at the central government level and 610 at the state government level. Three very famous reforms which are dedicated towards easing down the compliance burden, easing down the process of raising capital is the angel tax exemption given to our startups. It is an exemption which is provided uh, on raising capital over and above fair market value, which is taxed at a rate of 30%. So this is one of the biggest reforms that Startup India could pull off for its startups. Along with that, back in the year 2020, we assisted Ministry of Corporate Affairs in revamping the entire incorporation process and go on web and provide web services to incorporate a company rather than on a firm-based services. A very recent reform to mobilize domestic capital in the country and to further support Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, provident funds, EPFO, private retirement funds, these entities are also now allowed to invest 5% of their corpus in category 1 and category 2 AIFs. With this, the government of India has unlocked a pool of 50,000 crore capital, domestic capital within India. Talking a little bit more about how we focus towards on enhancing the doing business concept, we have simplified the entire recognition process. We have recently launched the single window clearance system. It is an initiative where all the clearances required to start a business is housed under one roof. Now, a user does not have to go to multiple websites to explore what kind of clearances may be required to start an industry. Say, for example, if I talk about setting up an industry in the telecom sector, all the approvals required to set up a telecom business in India, all the approvals, all the clearances are now jotted down under one roof and available on one click. We have also further integrated our portal with state portals. What it means is, once an entity has applied for Startup India recognition, they are eligible for various incentives offered by the central government. However, in order to avail certain state-specific benefits, state governments, 30 state governments, have also launched their own state policies. They are also providing numerous benefits to our startups. So just to simplify the process, instead of registering on state portals separately along with the central government registration, we have tried to integrate the central government portal with various state government portals where the application is directly processed rather than applying for the same sort of benefit on multiple portals. With the help of our user-friendly website, we have also improved the information sharing mechanism. Everything and anything about the Startup India initiative is available on startupindia.gov.in. As I was talking about our website, that is the Startup India Hub, we have a dedicated website. It's an online entrepreneurship platform that allows startups to network, access free tools and resources, and participate in various programs and challenges. Just to give you a little overview, we have a dedicated section on learning and development programs where we keep writing blogs on daily basis to sensitize the startup ecosystem. We do also have certain courses available free of cost if you register on our website to enhance the entrepreneurship skills in the ecosystem. We have also tried to map various government schemes and jot it down on our website so that plethora of schemes, all the schemes are available under one roof, whether it is state specific or whether it is a sector specific scheme. We have also listed down various states' policies on our website to know what benefits a particular state is offering within its region. Along with this, the Startup India initiative also provides various pro bono services. So, just to ignite the entrepreneurial spirit, we have tried to collaborate with various corporates who provide free services to our startups. Say, for example, a very good example with which all of us can connect is the services of provided by, say, Vakil Search or ClearTax. So these organizations provide free incorporation services to our startups, or say, for example, they provide 6 months free compliances to our startups. As we understand that there are roadblocks while starting up, and there are problems that a startup may face. A lot of us do not even have access to resources. So sometimes the idea is is uh, is diverted because a startup does not have enough resources. So just to bridge this gap, Startup India initiative tried to provide some sort of pro bono services in various forms, whether it is a legal service or whether in the form of a cloud service, followed by various programs and challenges that we keep posting for our startups to scout for new innovations on daily basis. Can you hear me? I think there is some network issue at my end.
We can hear you.
One more, so I'm just checking with the speaker.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah. Is it better? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah,
It's
fine,
fine.
fine. Carry on.
You're audible.
Carry on. Yeah, audible. Please carry on.
Okay. So along with this, Startup India initiative also aims to provide various funding related benefits to startups. Funding is key for the success of startup. We know a lot of early stage startups or at a growing scale stage, startups often face a problem of funding. So happy to inform you all that Government of India has actually created a pool of rupees 10,000 crore which helps in funding startups. The funding happens through a fund of fund program where Government of India invests certain corpus along with AIFs, venture capital funds operating in the economy. So this is one big ticket reform for funding in the startup ecosystem. Along with this, we have recently launched the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. This year, we completed 5 years of our Startup India initiative, and our Honorable Prime Minister launched a very important scheme for startups called the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. This scheme aims to provide support to startups at early stage. Startups which have just started up or are working on a prototype or are working on certain research and development. These are the startups which are benefited under this scheme. So it is a scheme of corpus 945 crores, which aims to run for next 4 to 5 years till the time the amount is exhausted. So this is a very interesting scheme launched this year to provide support to early stage startups. Through this scheme, it is estimated that it will support at least 3,600 early stage startups. Along with this, the scheme also provides a funding opportunity to incubators in the country. Why incubators? Incubators act as an enabler in the ecosystem. So it is important to fund them also so that they are in a position to adequately impart guidance and funding to the startups. So 3,600 startups are expected to be supported under this scheme along with 300 incubators. We are also uh, in process of launching the credit guarantee scheme. So again, to enable and to make access of early stage debt finance requirement of startups, this scheme with an annual corpus of 2,000 crore is expected to be launched. This will further augment, this corpus will be further augmented from time to time as per the need and the traction of the scheme. Another strong pillar of Startup India initiative is the market access. Many government departments are working to promote entrepreneurship in India. Startup India has collated over 100 schemes, as I have already talked about, which is available on our website to explore what all schemes, government schemes are available and what support they are providing. Along with that, Startup India initiative also has uh, has made procurement easy for startups, which means government entity when procures any goods and services from startups, we have relaxed certain criteria for our startups. I'll enlighten you more on procurement bit in the coming slides. As I was talking about the pro bono services, we have partnered with various domestic corporates and international corporates which provide numerous benefits to our startups in the form of pro bono offerings. Startup India also enables global market access and knowledge exchange for Indian startups through bilateral government collaboration. We have 11 international bridges with countries like Russia, Korea, Portugal, Japan, Netherlands, Finland, Israel, Singapore, etc. So through these engagements, we try to mobilize global capital for investment in Indian startups. We provide access to global markets for Indian startups. That means Indian startups get a chance to showcase their products and services in these overseas markets. Hence, it creates an environment for an Indian innovation in global markets. With the global reach, we also have a dedicated program called State Startup Ranking. State Startup Ranking framework was evolved as a tool to strengthen the support of states and union territories to holistically build the startup ecosystem. We have successfully conducted 2 editions of states ranking framework, which evaluates different states on the basis of the startup culture that these states are providing to startups. It acts as a competitive spirit within the state to constantly work towards startups and provide more benefits and easy compliance vision for startups in the country. So this framework acts as a competitive spirit for states to constantly improve the startup ecosystem within the states. The states ranking framework is divided under various phases. With this, we have built a successful state startup ranking portal. The 3rd edition is ongoing right now. We work towards 7 reform areas. 31 states and UTs actively participate in this ranking framework. It is based on 26 action points on which these states are ranked. So, for example, just to give you a little example, whether these states have dedicated startup portals, whether these states conduct sensitization and handholding for their startups, how responsive they are in collecting feedback, analyzing the response, and how and what regulatory environment these states are providing to its startups. We know that there are a lot of state compliances that an entity has to do in addition to the central level compliances. So we try to map which state is providing what sort of compliance environment for its startups, and we try to rank these startups on those pillars. Another interesting vertical of Startup India initiative is the National Startup Awards. DPIIT conceptualized National Startup Awards in the year 2019 to recognize and reward outstanding startups and ecosystem enablers that are building innovative products or solutions and scalable enterprises with high potential of employment generation or wealth creation in the country. The first, the first, the first leg of the startup award was announced in the year 2020. We have already conducted the second round of National Startup Awards. The results are yet to be announced. We have seen immense participation in both the series of National Startup Awards, where on an average these startups have total funding of more than 400 crores. So this is the sort of pool of 192 finalists that participated in National Startup Awards, and with the quantum of funding that they come with. So the awards doesn't end by rewarding the startups basis the products and services they're offering. Startup India aims to handhold these startups in all possible ways. 8 important verticals under which these awardees are being handholded are in the form of investor connects. For example, we try to organize sector specific or sector agnostic investor rounds for these startups, where we invite investors from places like Sequoia, Yourness, Sidbee, Mumbai Angel Network, where these startups get a chance to showcase their products and services. So this is a kind of an investor connect. If investor likes any of the product or service, they reach out to startup in the form of providing funding. Along with that, we also aim to provide mentorship services to our startups. Startups at every stage require mentorship, whether how to set up a business or how to raise investment or how to prepare pitch decks. We have onboarded great organizations like FICCI, NASCOM, Indonesian Network, who help providing mentorship services to these startups. Along with this, we also provide services like Corporate Connects, Government Connects, Innovation Showcase, a platform of international market, etc. This is an overview of some of the winners of startup awards, National Startup Awards. These are also showcased on a Doordarshan program, a series called Startup India Champions. Now moving on to the vision of our Prime Minister and to support the Atmanirbhar Bharat concept constantly. Startup India is also working towards understanding the Indic technology stack. What I mean by Indic technology is we are trying to support all the regional languages in India. Government websites showcase their information only in limited languages, say English or the regional language of a state. It is important to recognize the regional languages also, and hence we are constantly working towards providing various steps in this direction. Taking you through some of our marquee events, Yatra was a key event where Startup India visited all states to sensitize Startup India initiative, the kind of benefits this beautiful initiative provides to the startups in our country. We have an annual event called Global VC Summit. We have successfully concluded two seasons of Global VC in the year 2018 and 19. And as we were hit badly by COVID last year, the summit could not be conducted at that time, but an online series of it was conducted in the year 2020, followed by our 5-year anniversary marquee event called Prarambh, where the new action plan, the new way ahead, was launched by Honorable Prime Minister to enlighten the vision of next 5 years for our startups. Talking a little bit about how startups and how startups realize the importance of women entrepreneurship and how it supports empowerment of women entrepreneurship. Some of the key stats around it is that 1/3 of DPIIT beneficiaries are women entrepreneurs. Rewarding women entrepreneurs through National Startup Awards is also one of our aim. There is a separate category where we award women entrepreneurs under National Startup Awards. On daily basis, a lot of committees are formulated at Startup India level. Approximately 50% of them are women in these advisory committees. I spoke about SIDBI Fund of Funds in my previous slides. Special focus is given to women entrepreneurs in this SIDBI Fund of Funds. In fact, the Startup India team in itself comprises of 55% women. We are a female-centric organization, and we constantly support empowerment of women entrepreneurship. So, with the launch of the Way Ahead report, with our 5-year anniversary event, the Prarambh, the Way Ahead was launched on 16 January 2021. This was at International Summit, which was conducted this year in January 2021. Along with our action pillar of 19 points, we, along with that, now also have 14 action points laid down under the Way Ahead report. So this is how our next 5-year vision looks like. This is where the Startup India would be focusing on during next 5 years. So with respect to the compliance and regulatory environment, we are constantly focusing towards easing of starting up, reducing and easing the compliance burden, easing the procurement norms for the startups in the country. We are trying to promote startups in every district. We are trying to come up with a mobile application where everything will be combined and be available under one roof. We are integrating academia and innovation to encourage entrepreneurship. So this is where the next 5 years is going to be for the startups in the country. A very interesting initiative I must inform all of you is that National Startup Advisory Council. It is a council which was formulated last year in January 2020 with the intent to support and to constantly come up with great ideas and to present to Government of India in order to ease down the compliance, in order to scale employment opportunities, to further build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation. So this council includes 28 non-official members nominated by Government of India and 18 ex-officio members. So it's a very good hybrid combination where government representatives along with the industry representatives get a chance to meet on quarterly basis and discuss the ideas, solutions, and the problems and the recommendations to these problems to further improve the startup ecosystem in the country. So with this, I have covered a basic overview of what Startup India initiative is all about and what are the various type of benefits and services Startup India initiative offers to its startups. Now going to the funding landscape, I would really like to highlight how startups have actually grown, emerged in past 5 years. So as you can see, from 2015 to 2020, the number the the number of deals along with the funding has increased immensely over the past 5 years. Not just the funding and the deals. This year itself, 32 unicorns were added to the history of India despite we are dealing with the COVID. 69 unicorns is what India has witnessed so far, and I would not be surprised if another unicorn must have added even today, because as we talk, every day new unicorns are adding to the history of India. So if you see the trajectory and the growth, how startup movement is igniting in the country from 4 unicorns in 2015, we have now reached to 69 unicorns as on date. And out of these 69 unicorns, 50% of the unicorns were alone launched this year, that is 2021, despite we going through a pandemic time where the businesses are normally not working very well, but the startups are constantly working to ignite the movement in the country, and the business ideas that they're coming up with, they are attracting a lot of funding opportunities from various investors. So this is the journey so far where I talk about how our last 5 years look like. We have seen a massive increase in the number of startups that we witness today. There is a rise of 13x in the number of startups from 4,000 back in 2015 to over 55,000 as on date. The funding has grew 8x times, $70 billion is what we witness in our startups as on date. Number of incubators have increased from 100 to 700 plus as on date. So on an average, if I talk about, we have one incubator for almost 60 to 70 startups in the country. From 4 states, 30 states are supporting the Startup India initiative by launching their own state-specific policies. Along with this, new funding avenues is what we are constantly exploring. A lot of you must be aware about the alternative investment funds. Startups typically get funding, get covered under category 1 AIFs, and this is where we get the investment from. This is a new sort of investment avenue for startups from the traditional funding routes. Various types of benefits are provided for AIFs by the Startup India initiative. Some of these benefits are AIFs have been accorded the status of pass-through of losses. The angel taxation benefit is also given to category 1 AIFs, that is the venture capital funds. Category 1 AIFs can now invest in NBFCs. These are some of the reforms where Startup India initiative has constantly worked upon to improve the funding landscape of India. Just to remind you all again, 49 regulatory reforms have been simplified so far at the central government level, and these are some of the prominent reforms in the investment landscape for the startups in the country. With the vision to unlock rupee capital, we have been successfully able to pull off 3 important amendments for our country, which is, as I've already talked about, the private retirement funds, the insurance companies, and the EPFO can now invest in AIFs. So with this, I would like to move ahead with the focus of our today's presentation, that is the regulatory support. Now I'll talk about various benefits provided to startups in the country from the regulatory lens. The first one is procurement. Understanding the public procurement is a mechanism with which public sector procures goods and services from an external entity. So you must be thinking, what does government procure? It could be purchase of goods and supporting services, or it could be availing consulting services also, or maybe a non-consulting services. Government also needs various goods and services on daily basis to function. So why not to procure from the external entity? Where will government procure these goods and services from? So normally, whenever a government procures any goods and services from an external entity, it is raised in the form of a tender. There are several restrictions in the tender that certain big entities with certain turnover requirement can only apply under these tenders. So understanding the concept of startups, which means somebody who has just started out, which is not very old, or an entity which does not clock big profits, for them to participate in the tenders for becoming as a roadblock in the ecosystem. So what Startup India initiative did was they brainstormed on how startups can avail benefits of these tenders without being clogged under various regulatory problems of, say, for example, the earnest money deposit, the prior turnover experience, and the age experience. So with the collaborative efforts of Government of India, startups are now relaxed from paying earnest money deposit in any government tender. There is no requirement of any prior experience and turnover for startups to participate in a tender. So this is how our procurement benefits look like. We have been able to support over 9,000 startups, which have ordered, the government has ordered more than 3,237 crores worth products and services from these startups with the help of the benefits that we have been able to pull off for our startups. The next set of benefits is provided under intellectual property rights. Various fee concessions are provided to startups while applying for patent and trademark applications. So there is an 80% fee concession for patent application, a 50% fee concession for trademark applications as compared to a larger entity. There is also an expedited examination process for our startups where the applications are processed in a fast-track manner. This is another key benefit provided to recognize startups, the DPIIT recognized startups of the country. An interesting scheme has also been launched to support patent, trademark, designs of these startups. The scheme is called the Scheme for Facilitating Startup Intellectual Property Protection, the SIPP scheme. The scheme was launched back in 2016 and has been extended till 2023. Under this scheme, government has empaneled various facilitators which provide concessional services to startups in filing for their patents or in filing for their patents and other day-to-day advisory related services that comes as a part of IPR related processes. As a professional, all of you who are working as practicing patent consultants or IPR consultants, you can explore to register under this scheme and join hands with us in providing support to startups. Also, you can advise your clients to take benefits of this scheme, the 80% rebate, the 50% rebate for trademark and patent, and the faster expedited process for processing the patent and trademark applications for startups in the country. Just I try to jot down the growth of patent application by startups. Startups have actively started applying for patent applications. In the year 2016 and 17, we used to only witness applications as less as 225. However, in the previous financial year, over 1,800 applications were witnessed from the startups in the country. Similarly, there is an immense growth in the trademark applications. People were not very much aware and they were not very keen to apply for trademark applications. Now we are seeing people are more informed and more applications are being submitted under the trademarks as well. A lot of applications have also been filed under the SIPP scheme, the scheme which we just talked about. I think this would be the most interesting area for all of you guys, the tax benefits provided to startups. So talking about the overview of tax benefits, happy to inform you all that eligible startups are eligible for 3 years tax holiday, complete tax holiday for 3 years out of 10 years from the year in which the startup is incorporated. The interesting bit is the startup can avail 3 years tax holiday for any 3 consecutive years out of the block of 10 years. There are certain benefits provided under the ease of norms. In the Finance Act 2020, the perquisite tax has been deferred for startups. They can now defer the liability for a maximum of 5 years. They do not have to pay perquisite tax instantly. Rather, they can defer the liability for next 5 years. There are certain exemptions provided to startups under Section 54GB. So if an individual wishes to sell its residential property and utilize that money to start a startup, so then any capital gain arising out of the sale of residential property gets exempted from capital gain if the conditions are met as specified under Section 54GB. The fourth benefit provided to startups under the Income Tax Act is the relaxation for carry forward and set off of losses by the startup. Further, startups also enjoy the benefit of angel taxation under Section 5627B. There is also a simplified assessment procedure notified for the startups in the country. This is supported by a circular which was released back in September 2019, which prescribes how the assessment is simplified for startups in the country. CBDT, the Central Board of Direct Taxes, has also constituted a dedicated startup cell which handles all startup related grievances on daily basis. So these are the broad spectrum of taxation benefits that are provided to startups in the country. Going back to the 3 years tax holiday, this benefit is in the form of a certain application form. All the DPIT recognized startups who fulfills the criteria mentioned under Section 80 ISC have to apply on our portal, the startupindia.gov.in, fill up the form and provide the necessary information provided under the form. The form is then scrutinized by the team, and that team further evaluates the application. After evaluating the application and the completeness of the application is forwarded to a dedicated team called IMB. It is the interministerial board committee specifically constituted to evaluate the applications to analyze which startups are eligible to get the tax benefits. We have already spoken about how startups can defer the perquisite tax for a maximum of 5 years. The benefit was announced back in Finance Act 2020. This is also one of a big ticket reform which we were able to pull off with the help of Central Board of Direct Taxes in relaxing the working capital requirements for the startups in the country. These are more details on the Section 54GB benefit that we just talked about, that if a startup, if an individual wishes to sell its residential property and utilize that money to start up, that money is not taxed under capital gains head if the conditions are met as specified under Section 54GB, followed by the benefit provided under Section 79, that is relief on carry forward and set off of losses. Along with this, there are numerous benefits provided under Companies Act as well. So most of you must be aware that there are no fees for incorporation. There's no stamp duty levied if a company's authorized capital is up to 15 lakh rupees. There are certain compliance related benefits also provided to startups while preparing the cash flow statement, while signing the cash flow statement. There is also a concept of DVRs, that is the differential voting rights for smaller companies, for startups and OPCs. We have also been able to pull off certain reforms under sweat equity shares, the compliance procedure, how to comply with the procedural requirement of sweat equity shares and ESOPs under the Companies Act. Certain criteria have been relaxed there as well for startups. Normally, a company needs to conduct 4 board meetings, but if it is a startup or a smaller company, there is no need to conduct 4 board meetings. The criteria have been relaxed. This year, 2021, in the finance budget, the fast track merger was announced for smaller and startup companies. If a small company merges with another small company, or if 2 startup companies merges with each other, there is a fast track procedure notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Along with that, the penalties prescribed for startups, OPCs, and the smaller companies are much lesser than what is applicable on a bigger or a larger entity. So with this, I have concluded my presentation and given you all a broad overview of what the Startup India initiative is and what are the various benefits provided under the Startup India initiative, whether it is regulatory, the taxation related benefits, or the procurement related benefits.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kritika, for an elaborate discussion. I think members should have, known a lot of tax thing we always know, but various application formalities and the facilities available and all. So if members have any queries, you can post it in the chat box. I think the speaker will be. Selva, are there any questions?
Yeah, we do have some questions. I'll flash my screen.
Yeah. So in the meantime, can I ask you one question, madam? Yeah.
Sure.
See, is there? See, you are. There are a lot of incubation services and that patent services and all. Are there? I mean, is there any concessional fees or anything? Is there anything? I mean, patent registration and all. The normal patent registration takes time, 1 year, 2 year, and all, and it's a long route. Involves a lot of, professional fees and all. How do you help them?
Sir, I missed some part of your question. Here we are trying to provide benefits to which type of, are we talking about incubators here?
Yeah, incubators and the patent registrations. Patent registration, you said.
Yeah. Right, sir. Got it, sir. So recently, only a couple of days ago, government has announced 80% rebate benefits to educational institutes as well, which are running maybe running as incubation centers. So this is another big ticket reform for the incubators in the country and the educational institutes, that they are also now eligible for 80% rebate benefits under the Startup India scheme. So there are 7 other categories along with startups which can avail this sort of a benefit.
Okay, thank you. Can I start the question one by one? Yeah, the first question, is there any upper age limit to be a director of a startup?
No. So there are only 3-4 conditions that are there for startups as per DPIIT, and there is no upper age limit to be a director of a startup. The normal process, the compliance and the procedural requirements of Companies Act will apply as is. DPIIT does not prescribe any condition on upper age limit of to be a director in a startup.
2, what are the clearances given in single window, and does it have any bearing on the period of granting registration, like GST number? If we want, it would have to be approved by GST department, and hence the registration takes longer. I mean, just an example. Yes.
So here we are talking about the clearances, not the mandatory registrations to run an establishment. Say, for example, if a clearance is required from the Environment Department to set up an industry, maybe if an industry is emitting hazardous elements, certain approvals are required from the pollution board. So these are the type of clearances which we are focusing under the single window clearance, and not the mandatory registrations that are there to run a business. However, this service has been merged at the time of incorporation only. A company can avail the benefit of applying for GST, EPFO, ESIC, etc., and various other registration numbers also as on date at the time of incorporating a company.
Okay. How do we identify the list of startups? Can an individual directly participate in funding them?
The list of startups is available on our website, startupindia.gov.in. Even if you want to verify the credentials of a startup, you can just search or try to navigate our website, select the entity name, type in the entity name, and see if it is actually a DPIIT recognized startup. The startup certificate will pop up on our website.
Request if you can provide the procedure to avail these schemes benefits. Most often the startups know about these schemes, but availing the benefits is a big issue for them.
So for this, it will be very difficult for me to talk about over 100 schemes, how to apply for these schemes and what are the benefits that are available. Maybe what you all can do is, we have our helpline number and a query desk. You can write to us on our DPIIT grievance handle. We normally reply within 48 hours.
Okay. What's the scope of for practicing CAs, and what is the approach to be taken in to support startup entrepreneurs? I'm offering virtual CFO services. How do you think link with startups? Who to contact agency? How to allow us promote our service offering? I mean, general question.
So to my understanding, there is an immense scope for practicing CAs for the new buzz that is the startup ecosystem of the country. We have witnessed 69 unicorns, and we are seeing almost 100 startups being incorporated on daily basis. All the benefits that are provided to startups, these are the benefits which most of the practicing professionals doesn't know. So they are treating startups as their regular entity. So sometimes they are missing out on a lot of benefits. For example, faster examination of patent applications, various taxation benefits that are there. As if you are providing virtual CFO services, maybe you can try to navigate our pro bono service section, and if there is any way for us, Startup India, to collaborate with you and to avail your services for our startups.
Or 1 minute. What's the basis for getting recognition of DPIIT as startup? What percentage of startup gets recognized? That's all. Yeah.
So the percentage of recognition is pretty high. It's a fairly simple form. We only check the entity type, the age of the startup, the turnover criteria should not have hit 100 crore, and the entity should be moving towards innovation or scalability or wealth creation. If an entity fulfills all these criteria, then the application is processed smoothly.
Yeah. Any criteria about the category of business for registration of a startup? Please explain.
So there is no specific criteria. There are sectors listed on our portal while you apply for the recognition. You have to just simply choose the sector under the application form, and there is no other specific categories available for business registration of a startup.
Can you please throw some light on how to apply for rebate for trademark application, whether to go through the startup website and trademarks portal?
All the information is available on our website, and our website is linked with all external ministerial websites. You can log into our website, explore the process of trademark application, and you'll be routed directly to the IPR division of the ministry.
How is a startup evaluated for innovation, scalability, job, and wealth creation? What's the time within which registration is granted?
So the innovation scalability criteria depends upon the answer to the question that a startup has filled in the application form. It's a subjective text box sort of a question that we ask, where entity is required to support in the form of textual representation how they are supporting innovation or how they are using innovation, how the business model will be a scalable business model, and how they are creating job and wealth in the country. The recognition is typically granted within 48 hours, working hours. That's the tag we follow.
Okay. See, the other questions are being aggregated for some time, please. And in the meantime, can you give, some statewide startups formed so far? Any idea which state is leading? Something we are just curious to know. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. It's not audible.
Sorry, I was on mute. Bangalore is the leading startup city of the country, and it is also ranked as 11th top city overall in the world. So yes, Bangalore is the leading city in India as well. So we do see a lot of entrepreneurs from Bangalore, Kerala, Hyderabad. So these are the cities, these are the states where a lot of startups are being built.
Can you name some of the popular unicorns so far came up as startup?
Sure, sir. The popular unicorns, we have witnessed Innovator, the leading healthcare startup. We have witnessed Bharat Pay as the leading fintech startup in the country. Every day we are experiencing, literally every day we are experiencing one unicorn, Licious, Rebel Foods, etc. Every day it's so difficult to actually now memorize the number of unicorns, because every time we open Google, we see another startup becoming unicorn in the country.
Okay, I mean, is it based on the valuation that I think, if I'm right, some $1 billion or
Yes.
how?
Yes, the criteria remains the same, sir. Overall, in the entire world, the criteria that is followed is the $1 billion valuation. And if an entity crosses that, it is termed as unicorn.
Okay. Please wait. Selva, are you ready?
Just to till the time we are getting more questions, Bharat Pay, which recently became Unicorn, was also our National Startup Awards winner. So this is
Hello.
the kind of journey that we have seen for our
Hello.
National Startup Award winners, from awardees to unicorns.
So further questions, Madam, can you explain whether individuals directly can invest in the startup, or is there a better mechanism to invest?
Of course, the decision is entirely of the startup. There is no restriction whether you have to be in an entity form or only a VC funding can go to startups. Angel investors, as we know, they are directly investing in startups. So it depends upon the capacity of your funding, your capacity to actually deploy funds in a startup.
Okay. Can a new business going to be operating in a traditional sector like agro or manufacturing be evaluated as a startup? There is a job potential, but not innovation. Nothing new, but a traditional business. Can it be labeled as startup?
Right. So traditional businesses also apply to us. If they have some improvement models that they have come up with, we do consider such applications. But of course, not typical traditional business. Say, if you are just a confectionery or a departmental store, then that is something that we do not treat as startups. Subject to that, we have also released a detailed guidelines this year in June to provide more clarity on what type of business entities, whether holding subsidiary entities are also allowed for recognition, etc. We have sort of provide more clarity in the form of recognition guidelines as well.
Whether unicorns will continue to avail exemptions. That is.
Yeah. So if a startup crosses the age of 10 years, if it is older than 10 years, or if the turnover has exceeded 100 crores, only after that your certificate lapses. By unicorn, we mean an entity with a $1 billion valuation. However, the turnover could be different for that startup. If it still fulfills the criteria of BPIIT notification dated 2019, it can definitely avail the benefits of tax exemptions or various other exemptions that are available for the startup.
Next question is somewhat generic. Government of India is prescribing a lot of relaxation for audit, etc. for MSME startups in the name of ease of doing business. What's the idea behind this? How government will ensure zero error in compliance?
Yeah, so this is a very subjective sort of a question, and the only objective is to smoothen the regulatory landscape of the country. When we compare it with other countries, also there are certain relaxations provided to smaller entities in other countries. The only vision with which we are working is ease of doing business, bringing down the compliance burden for smaller entities. That's it. Of course, the intention is not to not that the startup should not uh, comply with the provisions of law, but to provide a framework which is easy for compliance for the startup.
Yeah, wait a minute. There's a small disturbance. So now, do startup companies in software export, does it need to get registered with the STPI for export, or registering through Startup India will hold good for export software services or software assets?
Okay, so let's understand it in a simple term. If you are a startup, BPIT recognized startup, that doesn't mean that you do not have to comply with other registrations, as you are already you must have applied for GST registration or ESIC registration. In a similar way, you have to apply for other registrations as well if you are operating in a certain sector or a certain domain. Startup India recognize whether you are a startup or not. The other compliances, the other registrations will remain as.
Whether startup can be a subsidiary of a foreign company.
We typically don't promote that if an entity is which is a subsidiary of a foreign company is not eligible to be recognized with DPI.
How is a startup evaluated for innovation, scalability, job and wealth creation? What is the time within which registration is granted?
I think we have covered this question, sir, that this is a subjective sort of a question in our application form. We evaluate basis the answer filled by the applicant, and we also call for certain proofs, say for example, the pitch deck of the organization, the working prototype of the product, or say website of the entity to evaluate all these parameters. We typically respond within 48 working hours. That's the target for it.
Yeah. What is the basis for getting recognition of DPIIT as a startup? What percentage of startup get recognized?
I think we have discussed the basis couple of times already. You have to be a private entity, an LLP or a registered partnership firm with the age of not more than 10 years. The turnover should not exceed 100 crores. So maybe it's good for all of us to visit our website, read the notification issued by DPIIT to have the legal understanding of the startup definition.
Okay.
Talking about the
SI
percentage of, go ahead.
Yeah, please. Percentage. What's the percentage of startup get recognized? I mean, out of.
So the percentage rate is pretty high. The form is fairly simple. Most of the entities, of course, if you are within the eligibility criteria, if you fulfill all those criteria, the application is processed swiftly and with a higher percentage.
Okay. Is SAFE allowed in India? I'm not clear what they are asking.
What my understanding about SAFE is that it is a type of a convertible instrument that an entity can issue. I'm not sure if it's the same
Yeah.
what the
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
What are
India,
yeah, please.
yeah. So under Indian laws, we do not use the terminology SAFE anywhere. However, there is no restriction in issuing convertible debentures or preference shares or equity, and of course, the norms prescribed under the Companies Act has to be followed.
Okay, be the last question. What are the modes of investments available for investor to invest in startups?
So if a startup is incorporated as a company, all the modes which are prescribed under the Companies Act, whether it is private placement, preferential allotment, or right issue, all of that are applicable as is to a company which is incorporated in the form of a company.
Yeah, just two more questions. I mean, it's mostly answered. Is it mandatory for a startup to be a company or partnership? Can an individual as an entrepreneur do a startup and avail government benefits? I think that you have explained.
The answer to it is no, because there are only 3 legal entities which Startup India allows. Reiterating it again, the private limited company, an LLP, and a registered partnership firm.
Yeah, it's clear. So last question, what is the purpose of registration with startup portal? Is it going to get the exemption given? Very generic question.
So I did take you through the registration process. You have to log into our website, sign up on our website, fill a simple application form. It will not take you more than 15-20 minutes to fill the application form. Basic questions is what you have to answer. You have to select the type of your entity, the sector in which you're operating. You have to fill your director related details, and you have to answer certain subjective questions like how the entity is supporting towards innovation, scalability, job creation, or wealth creation. So these are the type of questions that the application form typically asks for. And once you submit the application, After evaluating the completeness and correctness of the application is processed typically in 48 hours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Kritika Narula, for your patient answering, because naturally we are professional skepticism is there. That's why lot of practical questions.
I
And-
totally understand that, sir. Been in the same shoes, operating like a professional only, so I understand the type of questions that may pop up in the professional.
Thank you very much on behalf of SARC of ICA for your time and answering all the questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for providing the opportunity, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.